All right, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. All right, here we go. NVIDIA earnings done here pretty much. All right, pulling back to 490, right below yesterday's or today's lows pretty much, and kind of double bottoming at this level. So not much to say about NVIDIA except that, the market probably most likely at this point already priced in great earnings. They did do a double beat. But the market's like, okay, well, let's just sell the news. So SPY is down a little bit, 40 cents, not bad. All right. QQQ down 81 cents, not too bad either. So one thing to watch, though, with NVIDIA, because of that great earnings, I'm not super convinced that that NVIDIA is just going to fall off the earth, right? I don't think it's going to be that easy. If you remember AMD, when we played it on October 31st, when they reported earnings, the very, very next day, it went from $98 open to 108 at the close and went on a rampage, right? So 122. Now, albeit AMD is overbought here, on a daily time frame, but I'm just keep an eye on NVIDIA tomorrow. They might be burning some puts and calls late, in the morning, and then have an excuse to run it up because they actually did have very good earnings. But anyway, I want to kind of talk about S&P 500 seasonality here. All right, so you can see at the end of October, we ran up, and this is a pretty significant run, and then it starts to kind of go sideways before it tanks in late November, which we got maybe a week or so left before heading back up. All right, so if you look at what's going on the SPX, all right, or just the SPY here, this is the 4-hour chart, and you're starting to see there's weakness happening with the stochastic and the CCI, both pointing downwards, all right, and this definitely needs to reset. Over on the daily, on the SPY and the Qs, you can see that we are now officially overbought like crazy. Okay, so no matter how bullish we are, we still cannot ignore this. You see the CCI hinging here, RSI, sorry, it's overbought. Your CC stochastic is way overbought here, and this only has room to come down. Okay, it's not going to stay up here forever for sure. All right, so we're going to have to see tomorrow. And then your MACD is pretty much at the highest levels from June and July through August. So the markets can absolutely stay overbought for a while. That's certainly true. But I think, after tomorrow or even after this week, I'm going to put a downside target here for SPY. If we get another pop to 455 tomorrow, or above, then I think it'll invalidate my model. But I think we're going to come back down in the next 1 to 2 weeks to 441, to fill this gap and test this trend line here. Give the 20-day moving average some time to catch up with the price. And your 100-day moving average is at 440. So I'm going to issue a target here to come back in the next 1 to 2 weeks to come back down, reset this daily stochastic, reset some of the overbought indicators. And then from there, I think you'll see a year-end rally, probably starting maybe early December into the end of the year, potentially a Santa rally. If, of course, CPI is low and, no hawkish talks from Powell and all that stuff, right, in December. So, again, they have another meeting, FOMC meeting in December. So issuing a target here, 440, 441, and then rip faces, okay, because this has got to come down and reset some stochastics. Now, if we close above 455 this week, and there's only 2 trading days left in this week, if we close above 456 or 455 this week, then I'm going to say, okay, we're going to retest 460, then come back down. But I'm going to put this target for downside by probably end of November, beginning of December, a downside target of 441. You look at SPX on a weekly chart here. This is the all-time highs back in December 2021. This is your COVID lows. And look at what's happening here. This is very bullish momentum. If we do break out, then I think that obviously SPX is going for 4,600 plus and probably 5,000 into 2024. However, we have some major gaps that we do need to fill. So I think that this is going to reject, and maybe they try it again tomorrow, right? Maybe there's a double top coming for us tomorrow. And then I think we're going to pull back and retest some indicators here. Over on the weekly chart on the SPY, all right, if we did take it down to 441, as I'm suggesting, it would absolutely come back to retest this 20-week moving average, which has been significant in any run-ups. So that would be about 439 or 440 at this point, which would line up with my thesis here that we would bounce it around the 100-day moving average plus your trend line at the 440 to 441 mark. All right. So as far as the smaller time frames, guys, all right, we're taking a dip here in the post market, but it's not too bad, right? It's kind of just running flat, which I'm kind of surprised how well this is actually holding up. You look at a 30-minute chart, we are basing again, all right? We are basing again. So tomorrow is very simple, guys. Do we wake up and hold 452? If 452 holds tomorrow, then I think we're going to continue. We're going to retest some levels and retest this 455 highs from yesterday. Towards the close. But the thing is, now that if NVIDIA doesn't run tomorrow or the tech doesn't run tomorrow, then what's there to go up for unless Apple, unless there's some type of flight to safety on Apple. So I mean, I do hold Apple calls for the moment or for this evening. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. As long as 190 holds, we can play it. But if 452 starts to break down, then obviously we're going to have to retest this 450. You see that there's a gap down here that hasn't been filled. But in addition, SPX does have a gap from this morning. All right. So at 45.45. So we have to watch that as well. All right. So I guess what I'm just trying to say is that, might get a little choppy in the next couple of days with now that the NVIDIA earnings are out. Tomorrow morning, you do have jobless claims and Michigan data. Of course, any of that data can blow up my thesis. But I think at this point, a healthy correction is needed. All right. Obviously, if 452 doesn't hold tomorrow, we're targeting 450 down to 448. All right, would be a good pullback. And going into the rest of the November, then start pulling back and fill this major gap here. I still think though. Right, because it is Thanksgiving week, and generally Thanksgiving week is a up week. All right, maybe we just kind of chop around next 2 business days in the same range again. But that candle right now, for the moment, is looking more like a shooting star with low volume. Of course, I know we're missing one day of the week, but if this starts closing in lower on Friday or Wednesday, Friday, then that becomes a shooting star candlestick, and that would probably start causing me or probably start loading some puts at the end of the week to eventually see this gap fill. All right. So wanted to drop that to you guys and hope you guys have a great evening, and we'll see you back on Wednesday.